guys, welcome to another video. Today I wanted to share my recent experience about dealing and overcoming procrastination. I honestly believe that all people had to deal with procrastination at some point, and probably many times. Just try to think about the last time you felt like you're being lazy. My therapist once told me that there is no such thing as being lazy. This word sort of always has a negative tone to it, and it really shouldn't define the whole personality. So I decided that I should stop calling myself lazy. Well, it's gonna be a process, yeah, I know, but that's what I'm trying to do. So since absolutely everyone experiences procrastination at some point, this is absolutely normal and okay, so you shouldn't feel bad about yourself. There are always reasons why you procrastinate and don't do something or do something. So I decided I'm gonna share my experience, very recent experience from last week. And then if you don't really know your reasons why you procrastinate, I'm gonna help you find them in this video later. So a little backstory, I was working on creating content for my future store last week. And it didn't really go as I expected it to go. You can see more of that in the previous video. And yeah, since I didn't do a good job, I felt like I'm not good enough. I won't be able to succeed. I felt like I'm gonna fail my business, haven't even started it. So all of that led to procrastination and not being able to edit the content that I already shot. And I wasn't able to go back to the rest of my tasks. I just felt like it doesn't really matter at this point because I'm gonna fail anyway. And naturally you might think this is the point where you should start working on your issue. Your reason, you have to go deeper into it and find new solutions. But it doesn't really work like that in the most cases, at least not for me. Because if you already had a chance to procrastinate, you might have a new problem already. Because I usually start feeling very angry at myself. I feel weak and I feel ashamed of this weakness that I'm not able to deal with my stuff, and I basically am being lazy. Yeah, lazy. This leads me to my first step, overcoming my anger to myself. You should try separating your behavior from your self-worth. Procrastination is a behavior, not a reflection of who you are as a person. Remind yourself that you're going through something and you're not being just weak and lazy. Try viewing it as an indicator that something is wrong and something needs your attention. As I've already mentioned, there are always reasons for your procrastinations. And often, this is the way our body and our mind are trying to protect you from the discomfort, fear, or a burnout. I think this might really help to view the whole issue in a different way. It makes it easier to forgive yourself, as it was just your unsuccessful way to manage the difficult situation. What is very important is to try and be kind to yourself, and that is very difficult when you are just angry with yourself. So what it really helps me, I would try, and this also comes from my therapy, I try to imagine as if I'm talking to my baby self, like baby me. For you, it might be like, imagine you're talking to a friend, someone close to you, or even a person who you don't know. You have to find a way that really makes you be kind and non-judgmental, because you really wouldn't want to shame the baby you or your friend. You would probably try to be supportive and encourage this person to take it slow. Just remember that you are allowed to take this time off and work through this. When you really allow yourself this time to reflect and to take this time off, it stops being a failure and it feels less shameful. This will be your moment to really reflect on everything, refuel, and gain some perspective to the task. Another thing that really helps me is celebrating small steps. So I would really acknowledge and feel good about myself when I do this little daily things like, I don't know, making my bed, making myself a good meal, brushing my hair, washing my hair, whatever, anything. When you are ready, really try to take care of your space, like your home. It would help you feel more proud about yourself, and also it would clear your head. Once that is done, move to your body and soul. Actually, you don't have to do it in this order. You can do whatever works for you. You can start with your body, but yeah, whatever you feel like. Another thing is taking a self-care break. Doing something kind to yourself can really help reset the mindset. Try doing something nice to yourself instead of punishing. So maybe like go for a cup of tea somewhere nice, take a longer walk. What also helps me is some extensive skincare routines. So I'll do masks, I will take a bath, some hair treatments. You can even like buy yourself something nice, like buy yourself a new hair mask or like a new oil, whatever. I want to go back to the cleaning. What actually helped me to start cleaning the apartment is just buying new detergents and sponges. Like so small and simple, but that really felt like doing something nice to myself. And that might seem very silly, but it works, and it also motivated me to clean when I wasn't really feeling like it. So yeah, you can do the same. I just think that when your body is taken care of, you automatically feel like you are not guilty anymore, and you really appreciate yourself and love yourself. And that's a very important step to forgiveness. Now I think we can move to the next step, is understanding your procrastination. As I said earlier, sometimes it is not so easy for you to actually like know what you're procrastinating on and what is like. So here are my tips to try and understand what is going on in your head. And now this is a very important step. I would really encourage you to maybe pause the video, or like after you watch the video, just go back, take a piece of paper and a pen. And this is very important to do this with your hand and not on your laptop or your phone, because then you really have the time to think through everything. And just go through each question, try to reflect on it, to ask yourself some deeper questions. It would be really, really beneficial if you do that, because if you just try to think through everything, just when you're watching the video, it's not gonna work. Like, it's not going to be that helpful. At the beginning, it can be very, not overwhelming, but difficult to like overcome this resistance. Yeah, like to overcome the resistance. You don't always have all the answers right away, but if you really just take some alone time, take a piece of paper and work through this, it can be very, very helpful. So, okay, let's move back to my tips. The first thing is try to identify the fear factors. Very often, procrastination is driven by fear, especially fear of failure, rejection, sometimes even fear of success. So one thing you can ask yourself, what is the worst thing that can happen if I try? Or am I avoiding something because it feels overwhelming and intimidating? Okay, second point will be look at perfectionism. This is definitely about me, and I'm fighting with this my whole life. If you often set high standards for yourself, it might be very difficult to start a new task, because you might worry they won't meet your expectations. What is really helpful is trying to set a little lower standard. And I've mentioned this in one of my previous videos, but I'm deciding that what would be a good enough result for this case. Like, oftentimes I decide like, if I do something 70% enough, that will be acceptable. So you can try and think what would be your 70% or your 80%, and that would help you really accept that something is not as spectacular as you've imagined it to be in your head. Another point that is huge and also very relatable for me is lack of clarity. Sometimes if task is too big, it can feel paralyzing. So try to break it down into smaller steps, something more manageable and achievable, and something easier to understand. You can break it down to as small tasks as you want to make it feel less overwhelming. Another interesting case can be your energy levels. Procrastination sometimes can be like a signal of exhaustion and lack of motivation. Are you genuinely too tired and burned out? Sometimes procrastination is your mind's way of protecting you. So definitely consider this and think how you're balancing your time and energy. A very good technique would be, if you do like time planning, time blocking, just set 2 hours. You have to have at least 2 hours every single day just for doing nothing, like it is your rest time. Another case can be that the task is just very boring and not interesting for you, so it's very easy to go and procrastinate on it instead of actually doing it. So A great technique will be a 5-second rule. I started doing this recently. You just count to 5 in your head and stand up and go do the task. Because if you give yourself more time, you will just find the ways like to talk yourself out of it. You'll start overthinking it. Don't do this, just stand up and go do the task. You should try and start with the hardest or the most dull tasks, and just you would be so relieved and happier once you've done it, because usually it doesn't take so long to do this, and just go through it, complete it, and forget it. Also, don't forget to reward yourself, even if it's something very small. You can try doing Pomodoro timing and really like setting a timer when you work. It can be 15 minutes. It doesn't seem so difficult to survive 15 minutes of a boring task, and then you can go and do whatever you want in your break time. And it can be very individual, like you can decide your own time, how long the break is going to be, and how long you're going to be working. Like it really depends on the task, because sometimes when you're in the flow state, you don't really want to mess with that and break it. But yeah, depending on your situation, like do that, and just always remember about rewarding yourself. This is very important. The next one is also one of my favorites: self-doubt and imposter syndrome. This is also so me, like hate it. If you are worried about your ability to succeed, it is so easy to procrastinate on starting anything. I have been trying this very silly thing, and like it was so helpful. So just like listen to me and maybe try not to be judgmental, but it really helped me so much. So I went to ChatGPT on this. I just wanted to work on my self-doubts and feeling self-conscious about whatever I do, and I was asking him to act as my therapist and really help me work on remembering my strong sides and working with my weaknesses. He made me write down all my good qualities, something that I'm really proud about myself, and it can be something very small. I don't remember how many, like he told me to do probably like 20 or something, and I was able to find like 4 strong points about myself that I could go back to them in every situation and like feel strong that because of this and because of that, like I can handle this situation and get out of it, like no matter what. He really helped me to reevaluate everything and really value my achievements, that in the long run, when they're all put together and you remember about them, they give you so much power and so much more strength to go through whatever you have to do. Remember that every single tiny thing matters, so you would be able to really go and do whatever you need to do, because yeah, you are already enough. What you have right now, all your experience is already enough to go through whatever you have to do. And the last thing I wanted to mention is reflect on your priorities. Ask yourself, is this really something you really value, or are you making yourself do it because you just feel like you should do it? Remember about key actions, because I have been doing this for about a year. I have been productively procrastinating on actually opening my store and just looking for additional things to take care of, to learn, to do, instead of going and doing the key actions. So yeah, reflect on it, think if this is really something that you have to do, and just think what would happen if you didn't do this at all. Is this actually that important? To conclude all of this, I think that taking time to reflect on all of these matters might really help you to understand your unique reason of procrastination better, and this will help you deal with them more effectively. Okay, so now let's talk step 3, getting back on track. This gets easier at this point. So the first thing, let's break it down. I've already mentioned it, but yeah, you have to break your bigger task into smaller steps. This is always helpful. So start with the simplest part to gain momentum and really build the confidence. Easy goes for each step, like working for 10 to 15 minutes on it to feel it more manageable. And last intimidating to start it. It often leads to more progress than you expect because you tend to think about the bigger picture. In a week, when you look back, you would really see how much you've done and you would feel very proud of yourself. Number 3, very important, find a reward or a motivation. Connect your tasks to something rewarding. It can be something very small, like a break after your work or like a treat. Anything you feel like might work best for you. It would definitely make the task feel more satisfying to complete, and you will just focus on the treat or on your reward and just forget about how annoying the actual work can be. If perfectionism or fear of failure is your case, try reflecting on it and journaling about it more often, and remind yourself that it's okay not to be perfect and we always aim for progress over perfection. I strongly believe that with time, it is possible to really shift your mindset on this, and I'm working on it myself, and sometimes I feel like there's a lot of progress on this matter, and on the other hand I have very low days sometimes and it's hard to deal with. But yeah, you have to just always go back, just basically persuade yourself that you don't have to be perfect and you don't have to produce only flawless results. Sometimes even aiming for failure can be very helpful. You can decide at the beginning that whatever you do is going to be bad and that you're gonna fail at it, and it would really take all of the pressure away. If you do this multiple times, it just gets easier to accept. This is what I'm trying to do when I'm painting. I just try to accept it from the very beginning that it's gonna be bad. As a result, I would just be able to be more creative and open and just to experiment more. Also, remember to reflect on your why. Remind yourself why this task is important to you. Reconnecting with a purpose can really help you gain the motivation again. I think that will be it. This video is very long at this moment, I think. Yeah, I feel like I can go deeper into all of these steps, and now I'm thinking that's probably what I should have done, and I could really guided you through each point better. But this is my perfectionism talking, and yeah, I just wanted to give you a bigger picture on what I do. Usually it takes a lot of reflecting, a lot of journaling, a lot of pampering and cleaning the house, and yeah, and also setting small achievable goals, sometimes not even connected to the work. Find stuff that will make you feel better about yourself, that would make you feel like you've achieved something. And try this thing with ChatGPT, for real. It is very helpful. It is a great technique for me to really journal and go deeper in some topics when I don't have really ideas and I don't have new questions for myself. Hope you can back on track really fast. I'm still in the process of it, and I cannot say that I'm 100% back, but I feel so much better about myself. And yeah, I hope you can do the same. I'm sending you love. Remember to love yourselves. And yeah, I really appreciate you guys. A lot of new people joined the channel in the last 2 weeks, and I'm so grateful. I would really love to start making videos twice a week. I still don't think this is very realistic, and we'll see how that goes, but yeah, I think I'm gonna try to do that soon. Thank you so much again, and yeah, see you in the next video. Bye! Я просто не оказалась. Чекала вже, поки я зніму відео. Так, все. Все таке. Киця. Гелиська. Йдемо гуляти. Йдемо гуляти. Пішли.